Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. In this video we are going to talk all about front pockets of the jeans, and especially in this one we are using a couture finish using bias tape. This will be the first video in this series, so I had to think, do I want to upload the whole jeans in one go, or do I want to spend a little more time on some details? And since I'm using some bias tape finishes, I decided to go for the latter. So this is the first video, front pockets, and then the rest will eventually be there. So let's go, let's talk about some materials. What I will be using in this video is the front panel, the pocket lining, the pocket facing. I will be using a regular thread of regular spool of black thread, and then the top stitching thread. Some bias binding, this is some interfacing tape, and then of course a jeans needle and all of your sewing supplies. As per usual, I am going to start with the interfacing, and what I'm going to interface is the pocket opening, and I'm using some pre-cut interfacing tape for this. Next up, and I forgot to mention this, of course, I'm going to prepare the coin pocket. And I'm going to do that by ironing the top. First 1 centimeter in and then another centimeter in. And then I'm going to stitch right at the edge with my regular thread in the bobbin and my top stitching thread in the top of the machine. Next up, I'm going to fold in the sides and press. Next up, I'm going to work on the pocket facing. Now usually you would overlock this bottom edge and then sew it right on your lining, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bind the bottom with some bias tape, and I chose a nice contrasting pattern for this. So I'm going to bind the bottom, and don't forget to switch your machine to regular thread again and the regular stitch length. Next up, we are taking our pocket lining and we're placing the pocket facing right on top, and we're going to sew along the edge of the binding. Now I think I'm going to do 2 rows, one in the ditch of the bias binding and one on the edge, so that it's extra secure. Next, we're going to put the coin pocket on the right pocket. So just imagine it being on your leg, then it's the right side. Now I have my pattern here, which has a square there. That's where the pocket should be. Like that. Line it up. That looks right. So I'm going to switch my machine back to the top stitching thread and increase the stitch length to 3.5. You can sew this in one continuous line, going back, doing the second row, and then stitching over where you started so you don't have to tag on and off. Next we're going to grab our front panel, put our pocket lining on top and stitch the opening, and we're going to do that with regular thread. So put your machine back to regular thread and then the stitch length back to 2.5. Next up we're going to turn the pocket inside out, but first we're going to clip into this curve to make it turn nice, like that, and then we should be able to turn this right over. Now when ironing this, I make sure that I have just a little bit of the denim showing on the inside, because that will make sure that the pocket lining won't be showing on the outside. So after ironing this nicely and having everything laying as I want to, I can switch my machine back to top stitching thread and top stitch twice along the pocket opening. Now if we flip our panels to the back side, we can already see our pocket forming right here. So the next thing is to close the bottom of the pocket, and there are several ways of doing this. You can stitch it in an overlock, you can do a French seam by stitching it inside out first and then clipping the seam, turning it back, stitching it again. But since I'm already on the bias binding train, I think I will go ahead and do that. The lining of the pockets is done with the bias binding. I also did the left side, and the next step is to just tag with half centimeter seam allowance, just to make sure that the pocket lining and the pocket facing are in place with the front panel. Now that the pocket is secured, you can finish the outseam by overlocking it, or maybe if you have a selvage edge jeans, you don't have to finish them at all, but I am going to finish the outseam again with the bias binding. And that is already the finished product. So this is one example of how to sew in the front pocket of jeans. Of course there are a lot of variations, a lot of different options, and nothing that I do here is like set in stone. But this is one way that I like to finish jeans. So here we go, this is the finished product. We have the coin pocket here, the front pocket with the double stitching, and then of course the bias tape and the bias tape in the pocket. So what I did was I put the bias tape first on the side that is going to be seen, and then flip it over to the side that's not going to be seen, and then stitch it, because there's a reason for that. Here you see the stitches go off just the slightest bit. That's because this is the place where the pocket goes. So there's a little bit more bulk there, and then the binding needs a little bit more to fold over. It just needs a little bit more space. So that's why the line is straight, but the bias tape is not straight anymore. So that's what I did there. This is the first step in the series, as I told you before, and the next video is going to be all about the zip fly, which is going to be a more lengthy video because the zip fly, it's a process, and it's my first time sewing jeans as well, so let's learn together. So thank you all for watching to this video, and you will be notified when I upload the zip fly if you just click here to subscribe to my channel and then hit the notification bell, and you will see the zip fly, I hope, as soon as possible. Bye guys!